Welcome to day 57 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of February 1999, which was Payback.
I love you just said it just like Payback.
I think it explains how we feel about it.
Because we like don't feel anything about it.
No.
It's just the movie came, it did a thing, and then it went away, and we're just like, that was a movie.
No. I think the saddest part about this was that the most interesting part of this entire time spent on this movie was when we had a debate on how to pronounce salmon.
It's salmon, weirdo.
Salmon!
But why do we even talk about this? It's not even in the movie. But anyway,
Okay, wait. Why was this the highest grossing film? Is it just because Mel Gibson is in it?
I mean, it's also February and nobody cares.
I guess.
I mean, here, I'll look to see what else was out at that month, but
it was so goddamn dull and boring, and the color scheme was so depressing. It reminds me of how people always make fun of the DC movies nowadays for just being grayscale.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, I guess this is maybe where they got their inspiration. I might be wrong, but
The only good part about this film was that there was a dog.
oh yeah, and the dog did something heroic,
Yes.
and that's it. And the dog lived.
Yes, the dog lived too.
even though he
Otherwise.
gets hit or shot or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
what?
dog is what?
October Sky came out this month.
What?
Really? That was infinitely times better than this.
October Sky only made 35 mil, and this made 160 mil.
What?
What?
Yeah.
This is rigged. I demand a recount.
Okay, actually, speaking of money, it was never explained why it was worth all this trouble to get the 70K.
No.
Okay.
Well, okay. I understand, the principle of the matter in terms, the guy, took the 70K or whatever. So I can understand that in that regard, but it doesn't work because then once that guy's dealt with, he keeps going.
Yeah.
So it's you kind of defeated the point. So, and if anything, this whole movie, I was just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of
Basically.
anything? What's the point of this movie? You should have a reason to make a movie, but there's what's the point? There's no reason
There's
for
no
this to
point.
exist. It's not terrible. You just don't care, and there's
No.
no
The
point. So it's
The worst crime it commits is the fact that it's extremely boring because you don't give a shit about anything that happens.
Nope.
it's
I
the good thing about it though is that it's not that long.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
The
that's
pacing is
nice, at
okay.
least. Yeah.
The pacing was probably the best thing about the film.
Oh yeah, we had been it's dull, but not much time seems to have passed, but we were a third through or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the pacing is good, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like this movie, I think one of you kind of said this before when we were watching it, but it's it was trying to be Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the kind of not good people, but you're still supposed to root for them or something. But Pulp Fiction,
Yeah, and
I mean,
the dark humor and
yeah,
whatnot.
I mean the thing is, Pulp Fiction though, those guys were at least somewhat entertaining to be around.
And they were more
Yeah.
fleshed out, and you
Yeah.
understood some of their
Yeah.
motives at least.
Yeah, you just didn't really care about these guys. So that was the problem. It's well, Pulp Fiction, again, we didn't really like it that much, but from the parts there were parts that were nice, again, mostly with Samuel Jackson, John Travolta, and again, just them as characters who were interesting people.
Mm.
But this guy, you just didn't, you were okay, he exists.
If
and is
anything,
doing
I just
things.
hated him because he just shot everyone without really caring
Yeah,
that
he's
much.
just kind of a dick.
Yeah. Everyone who's him and then his partner were just assholes. The two
No, he
women
didn't
were
even care that much that his wife died too in the beginning.
yeah.
That was
and then,
weird.
The
He
two
just
women.
went and found the person that made the wife even commit suicide in the first place, or whatever it was.
it was like a heroin overdose, I think. But yeah, it was just like, okay, it just, yeah, you just don't really care, and everyone's just kind of a dick, and it's not like in an entertaining way, right?
No.
So, yeah, there's just not really a point. The most entertaining thing was the freaking, like, okay, so he and the new woman, whatever, and I don't remember everyone's name. He like
Rosie?
he like takes her to his place or whatever, and it's like, oh, you'll be safe here. No one knows we're here. And then his phone rings, and they're all like, what? And he's like, no one knows this number. And I'm like, why the fuck do you have a phone? It's really like, if nobody knows the number, why do you have a phone? What's the point? So
There is no point.
yeah, and then again, I mean, though at least they do set that up because like it was like a bomb hooked up to the phone, and that actually is used in the end. So that was kind of nice that they actually had that kind of
Yeah.
Continuity thing.
So
Yeah.
that was like the only thing really. I was like, oh, that was kind of unexpectedly good.
Yeah.
But again, it's like one very small thing, but it doesn't make up for the fact that everything else is kind of. So
You still don't really like the main characters, even
No.
by the end of it, either.
no,
No.
because again, I thought they would like explain the big deal about the $70,000 or something, like as like a big
Yeah.
deal. But
It's funny because
No.
like the head gangsters, or I don't even know what they are, they kept saying like, oh, you want $130,000, and he's like, no, I just want $70,000, and I'm just like, why don't you just take more money if
yeah,
you're going through all this trouble?
and I was just curious. So I did an inflation calculator, and that's like. In terms of today's dollars, again, I had to estimate because they say at least in the film that like Nixon is president, and it looks kind of about time of like 1970. So I assumed that the film was set like 30 years before it came out, so it'd be February 1969. And if you convert that in terms of inflation, it's about $480,000. So it's like, but then again, he's basically wanting to like double that. So he's basically just like saying no to like $900,000 for like no reason. So yeah, it's just like, what's the like? I'll take it if you don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you keep making the mistakes, I'll just take the extra. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's really not too much to say about it because again, it just kind of happened and you didn't care, and then it left and you didn't care.
Yeah, basically.
You didn't care that it came, and you didn't care that it left because it wasn't good or bad enough to care about.
Yep.
So there.
And then you're just like, meh,
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 meh.
meh.
So then we had a conversation about how to pronounce salmon correctly.
Salmon.
No,
Salmon.
no.
Salmon.
I'm pretty
My
sure there's
mom
like
and-
a
Your
poll
mom is
system.
wrong.
So we'll
I
maybe
am-
make a poll and see what you guys say.
Yeah.
This is what's interesting about this movie.
There were-
I mean, I also
was
personally
there-
say salmon.
Was there literally even a fish in this movie at all?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't
Like
think
not
so.
even like on like a display in a shop or something. I literally don't think there was a single Piscean creature in this film, and yet this is what we ended up talking about.
It's because it was what we discussed immediately afterwards, because there was literally nothing else to say about this
I don't
movie.
even remember how we ended up talking about it.
I don't even remember this movie.
No, not really.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, whatever.
I guess you could pass if you want.
Yeah,
If you want, if you would like.
again, if you think this might be interesting, just watch Pulp Fiction again. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's more interesting, and yeah. So there, it's not terrible, but there's
don't
no.
watch the
It's not horrible, but there's no reason to watch it. So
No.
Yeah.
Unless you like Mel Gibson and you're a diehard fan of his, but I don't know if people like that exist anymore. No offense.
So yeah, there you go.
Well, at least the next one will definitely be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yes. We're all looking forward to the next one.
Yes, we are.
You guys might know what it is.
I mean, if anyone is just like looks at like a list of movies that came out the next month, I'm sure they'll immediately know which one it is.
They'll
Yeah.
So
it will be pretty easy to figure out what it
It's
is.
kind of like a Titanic sort of deal, so yeah.
the fact you
Y'all might
compared
know.
Titanic to that movie hurts me.
I'm just saying in terms of how famous it is, that's all.
It is a very famous movie, so in that ways the comparison can be justified. But otherwise, it's not a Titanic-esque movie.
Oh my
This
god.
whole year has a lot of like famous movies, so
Yeah.
I think we mentioned this in the wrap up of last year, but you guys will see a lot of titles that you might predict.
Yep.
Yes.
And several that both I want to kind of see again, and also one that I want to see your reactions for.
Oh boy, that'll be kind of soon.
I'm so excited.
Oh my god.
Speaking of being excited, let's watch another movie besides this one because it wasn't exciting. Ugh.
Okay, the next one.
Bye.